Today's session will be recorded for documentation purposes, and there will be Q&A session will be the Q&A session will be merged with the material presentation session. So if you have any question in the middle of the presentation session, feel free to send your question in the chat box or raise your hand if you would like to ask directly. And please stick around until the end of the webinar, as the attendee list will be shared only at the end. And ladies and gentlemen, just a quick moment of your attention, please. I would like to inform you some important information regarding today's attendee list. The attendee list process will be slightly different from the previous webinars. For this webinar, you will be required to upload the proof that you have completed Module 2 on the British Council MOOC by submitting a screenshot showing that you have finished the assignment. Without uploading this proof, you will not be able to submit the attendance list and will not receive a certificate. If you have not yet completed the module, you will be and you have any issues or any difficulties in accessing the module, you will have an additional 2 days until Monday at midnight to finish module 2 and upload the proof that to attend the list in order to receive a certificate for today's webinar. If you're experiencing any issues with registration, for example, on enrolling in the course, the first sessions of this webinar will be a MOOC review by Ms. Laras. So please pay attention to her and feel free to ask her if you have any questions and if you have any difficulties or issues in accessing the MOOC. Thank you very much. Before we continue, let's take a moment for a quick photo session to commemorate the start of today's program. Kindly turn on your cameras and smile for the screenshot. Today's photo session will be guided by our team members. Miss Laras, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Agnia. I will start taking the picture. Please kindly turn on your camera. Okay, I will start from the first slide. Please smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, once more. Prepare your best smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I will continue to the next slide. Prepare your smile. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I've seen some of you just turn on your camera, so I will take one more picture. 1, 2. Okay, wait, let's wait for a while. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Thank you very much. I will give back the floor to Miss Agnia.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Laras, for guiding us to take the documentation. All right, we will now proceed to our first sessions of this webinar, which is book review. Specifically, it is the review of Module 2, guided by Ms. Laras Ati Rochastuti. And Ms. Laras, the screen is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Agnia. Good morning, Bapak Ibu. Thank you very much for joining us today. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope you are having a good day today. I've seen some of you have a bad connection. It's okay. Just try to be active as you can. So in this session, I'm going to discuss about Module 2 regarding digital inclusion. So this is a part of Teaching English Integrating Digital Technologies MOOC. So as we have discussed in the previous session, if you have skipped the previous session, it's okay. So Teaching English provide different kind of MOOC that English teachers around the world can access for free. And later, if you have finished all of the module, you can get free e-certificate in addition to our e-certificate for this webinar series. So it's a really good opportunity for you to learn more about digital technologies for free, and you can also get a 12 hours worth of e-certificate. Jadi Bapak Ibu, pada kesempatan kali ini saya akan menggunakan bahasa Inggris dan bahasa Indonesia ya. Untuk kesempatan kali ini, saya akan membahas tentang modul 2 tentang digital inclusion dari MOOC Teaching English Integrating Digital Technologies. Teaching English itu sendiri adalah platform yang disediakan oleh British Council untuk guru-guru di seluruh dunia yang Bapak Ibu bisa akses secara gratis. Dan apabila Bapak Ibu berhasil menyelesaikan ketiga modul tersebut, Bapak Ibu akan mendapat e-sertifikat gratis sebagai tambahan dari e-sertifikat webinar series kali ini. Nah, sertifikat tersebut juga berlaku selama sampai September ya Bapak Ibu. Jadi Bapak Ibu masih bisa mengakses meskipun kami sarankan memang menyelesaikan modul 2 sebelum pertemuan kali ini untuk mendukung diskusi. Tapi kalau semisal Bapak Ibu mungkin tidak ada waktu atau mengalami kesulitan dalam mengakses, Bapak Ibu bisa mengerjakan kapanpun sebelum bulan Desember. Baik, sebelum saya mulai materinya, mungkin Bapak Ibu yang sudah mengerjakan modul 2, apakah bisa raise hand? Oke, Bu Asri. Yang lainnya mungkin? Atau bisa dituliskan di chat box. Oke, Bu Asri, Mister Tamba. Oke, nah saya ingin dengar dari Bu Asri terlebih dahulu. Bagaimana impresinya dalam mengerjakan modul 2, Bu? Apakah menurut Ibu materinya cocok dengan pengajaran Ibu atau bagaimana?
Eh, Materinya menurut saya sangat baik ya, cukup membuka mata karena mengingat bahwa tingkat kan itu kan membahas tidak hanya mengenai diferensiasi, tapi lebih mengajak kita memahami bahwa meskipun kita mengaplikasikan digital learning through digital resources, I can see as well that there are many cases in the classrooms that all the students need a different way of approaches. So well, these three units, the first one, when I see they're actually talking about the digital divide and asset of technology. But what I like the most is actually the part when they're discussing about the UDL, the Universal Design for Learning. This is something that we probably already heard about it, and we probably have done so. Maybe not to the extent explained on the website. So I find it really is an wake up call. So I find it's really interesting, and the creative engagement and critical engagement also helps me to realize that, oh yeah, I've done that, but not in detail. So you know what I mean, right? I mean, like it's it's there, but I need to refine it in order for me to be a good teacher in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimonial, Bu Asri. I believe that your student will be so lucky to have you as a teacher because you try to implement what you have learned, although you might not have implemented fully. I believe everything takes time. So it's very good to hear that you enjoy learning using teaching English. Now, I want to hear from Mr. Tamba. You have finished Module 2. What is your impression regarding this material?
Sorry, yes. Um, for one, okay, it provides insight just like what the previous what is it speaker said, okay, regarding what is it regarding that. Um, okay, sometimes okay, we don't really realize that our students okay needs, let's say, different approaches okay when they access the digital technology, maybe because with it, some of them have problems, some of them have let's say difficulties, some others don't have problem at all. So we would need to with it to let's say to design our lesson in a way so that it caters in a way everyone, regardless of whether or not they have these drawbacks or not. That's the with the important with the message that I believe this the second modules okay give us as with it as learners. Yeah. Okay, thank you, man.
Thank you very much for your sharing. I believe that I also agree in some parts of those. It is very insightful and it applies to various layers of teaching. Yeah. So thank you very much for your sharing and thank you
Thank you.
for doing module 2. So after listening to two of these testimonials, I hope it inspires you to access the module since it's very insightful and it can help you become a better teacher. Thank you very much, Mr. Tamba and Miss Asri, for your sharing. So for those who haven't done Module 2, you are free to access it anytime that you like. Anytime you have a spare time, you can access those. But as mentioned by Miss Agnia, you will need to finish those to access to get the free e-certificate. Okay, Miss Agnes, do you want to share something? Miss, you are still muted. I'm sorry.
Thank you for the opportunity until September. It is quite a challenge for me actually, because the teaching is quite almost begin. We have classes next week, but I've already finished the module 1 and 2. My question is, where should I submit, or in what form I should submit for the module? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Bu Agnes. I believe that some other teachers also have the same concerns. So this module is actually for your own personal learning. So they will not assess those, but we highly encourage those since this webinar is funded by Teaching English. And I believe that the material will also support the discussion for the webinar series. But specifically for today's session and the next session, you will need to screenshot the proof of you finishing the module. So if you have accessed the module, there will be a progress bar, and you will need to screenshot those and upload those in the form that we will later share.
Okay.
Okay,
Does
very
that
well.
answer your question, Miss?
Yes, very. Thank you.
Thank you
Good
very much.
morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Bu Agnes, for the question and the sharing. And I believe you also have finished. Thank you very much for that. All right. So today we're going to discuss Module 2 briefly because if you are interested more about this, you can access the module and you will get further information about those. But in today's session, we will just focus on discussing the matters, the materials that might be relevant to today's topic about AI tools to generate worksheet. So Module 2 itself is divided into 3 units. We have learner's digital context in Unit 1. In Unit 2, we have differentiation and personalization. And in Unit 3, we have active learning. I believe that this material will also very beneficial for you that are going to implement deep learning. So this is very important for engagement and also meaningful learning. I'm going to start with Unit 1. So in Unit 1, we talk about learning disabilities. This is very relevant in our life, so I want to hear more about your experience related to learning disabilities. Have you ever had learners with learning disabilities, whether it's auditory, visual, physical, or maybe speech, cognitive, or linguistics disability? You can share your experience in the chat box. So, learning disabilities related to auditory may be impairment to hearing, whether it's full impairment or maybe several hearing disabilities, or visual disabilities can be related to ability to distinguish color. So maybe colorblind, or maybe farsightedness or nearsightedness. I believe that a lot of learners experience that. Me myself is having visual impairment. That's why I wear glasses. Or maybe you have experience having a students that have physical impairment. Please share your experience. Okay, Miss Agnes, have students with hearing aids. We treat differently with others. Oh, linguistic disabilities. And how do you handle students with learning disabilities? Do you differentiate those? Or do you facilitate them to have the same kind of learning in the classroom? So learning disabilities does not only limit it to physical disabilities. It could be also cognitive disabilities like ADHD, autism, or maybe dyslexia that I believe is not quite commonly diagnosed in Indonesia. And also linguistic. I believe this also commonly happens, especially in formal classrooms, since you did not differentiate your classroom based on language proficiency, right? Okay, let's see your experience. Okay, from Miss Yuli, we treat differently with other. Miss Afriza, so far I feel difficult to understand student abilities. Yes, this might happen since yeah, teachers, especially in schools, they have a lot of administrative stuffs they have to do. So it's really challenging to understand each of your students' abilities, especially if you have a lot of classes with a lot of students. Yeah, it can be challenging. From Mr. Tama, I am lucky. So far, the classes I thought consist of normal and those with visual impairment. I am included. Me myself is also included. Thank you for sharing. Miss Yuli, a bit hard. Yes, it is challenging. Miss Agnes, they can access the script for listening. Okay, so Miss Agnes here have already implemented inclusive learning. That is very good, Miss Agnes. And Miss Asri, yes, I do. I have students with varying linguistic abilities. In one class, for example, their English proficiency range from CEFR A2 to C1, which makes it quite challenging to address everyone's needs effectively. Yes, I believe a lot of teachers can relate to this. If you teach at school, they don't really differentiate student skills in the classroom. But maybe if you teach like bimbingan belajar or other non-formal education, can you share your experience how you facilitate different kind of language proficiency? And Mr. Ahmad, linguistic variety is common in our context. We need to adjust the teacher's materials and resources based on student varying levels. Very good. So this is what we are going to discuss as well, making a variety of learning materials. And we are also going to discuss discuss AI tools that can facilitate and help us in creating those kind of materials that facilitates the varying levels of students. I don't know who this is, user. It is so hard when I teach in many different students' linguistic abilities that they still use their local language. Yes, this happens a lot in my class as well. They use local language. We try to have some kind of punishment for those who have spoken in other language than English, but they still use their local language. It happens a lot, and it's challenging to do that. We organize the learners into groups, but it's not easy actually. Yes, even if you categorize them, there will still be challenges. But as long as you put on effort, I think your students can appreciate you. Miss Mariana, it's rather hard to handle the students with disabilities since I have one student who has problem with hearing, needs more patience. Yeah, it needs more patience. And I believe not only patience, but you requires a lot of efforts in handling them and ensuring they achieve the learning objective. But knowing that you understand your students' needs is a good step to start. I believe it's a good thing to start. Students have different style of study. Yes, that happens as well. In every classes, I believe there is no class that just have one different style. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing. We have a question in Q&A. Let's see. What are the troubles of digital inclusion in rural area? Yes, thank you for the question, Mr. Imam. So, digital inclusion in rural area, I believe we all have experience having limited facility, digital facilities. Maybe the students cannot access their device or they didn't have any device for accessing the digital resources. That happens a lot. And even if your class have facilities, it might be challenging for those with visual impairment. Me myself, when I was at school, when I was in high school, I believe, we have a lot of facilities like projector and computers for us to use, but since I have visual impairment, I cannot see what's in the screen because I sit behind, and the sitting arrangement was based on our names. Yeah, it happens a lot. One of the problem is the limited devices first, and the second one is limited facilities, and the third one is um, student learning disabilities that might be hard to be addressed, especially if you have, especially in rural areas, yeah, where there might not be a lot of teachers. You will need to handle a lot of students, and it's hard. As someone mentioned earlier, it's hard to identify their needs. Even to identify what issues that they have, it will be challenging. And you have to address those issues, and you have to see whether your solution is working or not. So it's a long step to take. Let's hear more from the chat box. Miss Asri said, I have one student with bibir sumbing. It's rather hard to understand what she is actually saying. Yes, I believe that in Indonesia we have SLB, but in reality, there is still a lot of students with disabilities that join normal classes. It happens a lot. And the fact that you are able to recognize what your students need and what challenges you are facing, I believe it's a good step to start. Julie asks, is it right to organize students based on their ability? Because I did it. It helps me to categorize the tasks then, but some say it's not a good one. Well, this is debatable. Me, myself, I like to organize my student based on their ability. And I do agree that it helps me create better learning materials, create better activities. But maybe for those who think it is not a good idea, can you share your opinion? Miss Monita, teaching English to students with hearing impairment has been one of the most eye-opening experience in my journey as a teacher. At first, I honestly felt a bit nervous. I wasn't sure if I could connect with them or make the lesson meaningful. But over time, I learned that communication goes far beyond just words. I started using more visual gestures, pictures, and videos with subtitles, and even learned some basic sign language. It wasn't perfect, but the student appreciated the effort, and that really encouraged me. I also realized how important it is to speak clearly, face the students when talking, and be very patient when explaining grammar or vocabulary. The most heartwarming part is seeing their confidence grow when they finally dare to write a paragraph in English or participate in class activities. It feels like such a big win. That is very inspiring, Ibu. Thank you very much for sharing, Ibu Monita Geraldine. This is actually what we are going to discuss today, like how we can address those issues. What should we do to address those issues? And yeah, some of you have mentioned it's very challenging. There are a lot of students we cannot see what issues they have because there's so many things going on. Yeah, it happens. But when you succeeded, like Miss Monita did, when you succeeded or when your students recognize your effort, it will be very worth it. So I highly encourage you, all of the teachers, to access the module. I believe that by understanding the module first, you can try to figure out what you are going to do with students with learning disabilities. Then you can help them learn better. Thank you very much. This is very inspiring. I hope this also inspires other teachers that are facing difficulties. Being teacher is very challenging, but the fact that you are still an English teacher today, it's a very good thing to do in your life. Okay, Mr. Tamba also have responded to Miss Yuli's concern related to categorizing students' ability. Still have to give efforts for student who got impairment to speaking. Yes. Yeah. It requires a lot of effort. Mr. Tama believe that it is good to categorize a student. Like you say, it's easier for you to categorize the task, while for the students, they will learn the lesson at the right level of challenge. Not too easy that they don't feel challenged, not too hard that they feel demotivated either. That is very good because in reality, when I apply categorization in language proficiency, my students become more motivated to achieve more because maybe they want to be in the same group with their friends that are smarter than them, or maybe they feel some kind of pride if they got a better score than their friends. So although competitiveness is not always good, but in this context, I believe it can help them be more eager in learning so they can achieve better language proficiency. Thank you very much for sharing. You can keep the discussion in the chat box while I continue to the next material. Um, so to address those issues, you can always use AI as a support. For example, if you have students with speaking disabilities, you can use speech recognition app. So we have AI-driven speech to text tools that can help learners with hearing impairment or maybe speech issues by converting spoken words into written text. So let's say you are having a speaking class and you want to assess them, but their voice is very low. Let's say they have confidence issue and they cannot speak louder. You can use speech recognition. Even I believe Zoom also have AI speech recognition. Some of you turn on the transcription maybe to listen to me better, or right now you are doing something else that prohibit you from listening. You can use speech recognition. So you can use AI tools to support your teaching, especially to support learners with hearing or speaking issues. And this is also for learners with hearing disabilities. You can use text to speech. So you can make your materials more multimodal based. So not only listening, but also you provide captions. I believe one of the teacher have already implemented this in their class. And although it requires a lot of effort, AI will really help you in assisting the process. And the next one is predictive text and spell checking. You can use Grammarly for this one, and ChatGPT, I believe, can also do that. Yeah, this will help students with dyslexia, those who commonly make typos in their writing. You can also use this to give them ideas for those with cognitive issues. So you can always use this in different kind of contexts depending on your classroom and your student situation, your students' need, because I believe learning and teaching is not a one size fits all, one size fits all situation. So something that works for you maybe works for other thing. Something that doesn't work maybe works for others, something like that. And the next one is translation services. This is for linguistic issues. So if your students face difficulties in understanding English, maybe you can ask them to use translation, although this might not always be good, but this might help them to be motivated. And after you get them motivated, you can encourage them to do something more, encourage them to become more independent, for example, something like that. So this will help learners who have language barriers, just like some of you have mentioned that in a classroom there are a lot of differences in linguistic skills. So some of them are smarter, some of them are not that smart. I wouldn't say not that smart. I mean, not that skillful, yeah. So you can always use AI to support your learning. Okay, now I want to know, do you implement differentiation and personalization in your classroom? Some of you have shared. Maybe do you want to add something more related to differentiation and personalization? Maybe do your school or maybe your institution provide different classroom for different levels, different English levels, I mean, or have you ever implement a personalized materials for your students? Maybe anyone want to share by turning on their microphone. If you prefer talking instead of typing, feel free to raise your hand and share with others regarding differentiation and personalization. Okay, Miss Asri. I did, but only to the extent explained to the module. The differentiation I applied was more focused on the teacher's approach, providing individual support to students. That's why what's described in the module was truly an eye-opener for me. Wow, I'm glad to hear that, Basri. I believe that you are a really hardworking teacher, yeah? Because it's quite hard to focus on certain things when you are doing differentiation. Usually we focus more on the students, but you focus on the teacher's approach, which I believe was very inspiring. I hope it can also inspire other teachers. I'm very lucky to teach in SMA College Santo Yusuf, where teachers are equipped with many sources or sufficient time. That's glad to hear. Yeah, time is a really uh, challenging issues in teaching. Teacher is able to access the sport area or laboratory or other dedicated spaces for outdoor activities, or even throughout the school area. For example, when the students learn about science, we can walk around the school and observe the signs. Yeah, that is very good. It's very active, and it can also encourage them to learn in real life. So it's suitable for deep learning because it's very meaningful. And Ms. Nurjan mentioned, yes, we are required to design different level of difficulties for learning assessment. That is very interesting, Bu. Do you mind sharing more about different learning assessments? And Mr. Ahmad Zubaidi, what I did is providing multimodal materials, resources that are accessible for students with different learning styles, such as video, text, pictures, etc. Yes, that is very good. And we also discussed this in our previous session. So you can use AI to create multimodal materials, such as creating text, pictures that support different kind of learning styles. That is very good. Thank you very much for sharing, everyone. Mr. Amin, I teach differentiation using song, text, games, etc. Yes, I believe this will also make them become more enthusiastic using songs. And in the next session, we are also going to discuss about audio-based materials using AI. So make sure you stay tuned and join us in the next session. Okay, thank you very much for sharing. And let's continue. Okay, so here are some recommendation of how you can use AI to facilitate differentiation. So you can use AI to adapt learning resources to make a variety of different input texts. For example, if you have 3 level students in one class, you can create different kind of text instead of just writing one by one, and you will need to have a good sense of judgment whether this text is good for example, SMA students. But using AI, you can automatically create those and you can ensure that this is suitable for this level. And you can also use AI to adapt tasks to be completed in a variety of different ways. I would like to share my experience doing this. So in the place where I taught, they have a book that is required to use and required to be completed by students. But in reality, it's very boring, and the students sometimes feel demotivated to do it. And sometimes some students even refuse to do that. So I usually ask ChatGPT to recommend me learning activities that can facilitate the different kind of needs while they are still achieving what needs to be achieved in the books. So AI is very useful for facilitating differentiation. If you are like me, that sometimes it's not creative enough, it's not fun enough. I'm quite boring, so I use AI to facilitate creativity. And as we have also discussed previously, you can use AI to create image. Maybe you can set the scene of stories. If the topic is more text-based, maybe in the book there's only text and your students are bored, you can use AI to create image. And you can also make a picture story to facilitate the visual learners. And to create text, you can also use generative AI to create text to generate captions for a picture. For example, if they prefer to read instead of watching picture, you can use AI to generate text. And using generative AI to create audio, we will talk about this in the next session. So make sure you stay tuned. You can use them to recast story as a listening text, maybe if they prefer listening instead of reading. This also happens a lot, especially in Gen Z or Gen Alpha student that is not used in reading. They don't really like to read. So yeah, this will be very useful if you want them to listen to a story maybe. And there are a lot of AI tools that you can use to create audio that we will discuss in the next session. Now, I want to ask you, what are other ways to use AI for differentiation in your classroom? Maybe based on your own experience or some ideas that you have, feel free to share in the chat box, or if you want to share directly, you can raise your hand. Okay, Miss Paramita just shared. I differentiated the students' worksheet. Today we are going to discuss about worksheet as well. And they choose the worksheet based on their own level of understanding. Sometimes I also made the topics that they like to have to write or read. Then the students presented the vocabularies they got in the process, more like analyzing the text and share to the whole classroom. That is a very elaborated and creative way to differentiate students' learning. It's really exciting to hear that teachers are having various creative ways to do differentiation in the classroom. And I hope this also inspire other teachers to use differentiation in the classroom. Especially for deep learning, you have to make it meaningful, so differentiation will be very beneficial for this. Yeah, after reading about personalization, I just realized that the questions in the textbooks, such as are you going to do if you were in the situation, is a kind of personalization. Yes, this is also implementing the deep learning meaningful aspect. Yeah. So usually in books, they have image and or maybe stories, and they ask the students, what will you do if you are in this situation? And most students actually struggle to answer this, and you will need to give more questions to elicit what they want to say or what their ideas are. That is very good. Miss Monita, when teaching narrative text to my 8th grade students, I use AI to differentiate based on their read readiness. I asked ChatGPT to create 3 versions of the same fable, one with simplified vocabulary and shorter sentences for struggling readers, one with moderate complexity for the average group, and one with richer language and more figurative expression for advanced learner. Wow, that is very creative, Ibu. So you can other teachers hopefully can also implement this. Maybe this will inspire you during um, teaching classroom with different levels. Each group receive a version suited to their level along with different tasks. Beginners identified characters and setting using a word bank. Intermediates summarize the plot and identify the conflict, while advanced students analyze the moral and rewrote the ending. This approach kept all students engaged and allowed them to succeed at their own pace. That is very good, Miss Monita. So, hopefully other teachers can also be inspired to this because me personally, I felt inspired to implement this in my classroom. And yeah, you can use ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT is the most accessible and easy to use. But there are also some other platforms that you can use, like Edu8. As we discussed in the previous session, you can always check our YouTube channel for the recording. I'm promoting our YouTube channel. Okay, Miss Ita, oh, I just really know on this about AI for differentiation. I'm glad to hear that you find something new here. I hope that it can inspire you in creating differentiation-based materials. We can generate different texts with different topics that resonate student preference or background knowledge. Yes, this is also related to personalization, so not only differentiation, but you make them personalized, and it will also increase their motivation, and I believe they will feel touched, just like Miss Monita's student. We can generate topics with different prompts. Yes, you can use AI to generate different kind of thing using different prompts. And hopefully from this sharing session, you get the ideas of using AI to generate differentiated and personalized learning. Miss Asri, I will be honest, I haven't used AI for differentiation. Before joining this webinar series, I always condemn the use of AI in the classroom due to its stigma. Especially I'm teaching secondary students who use technology much better than their teachers. So they always find ways to bend the system. But I definitely will use it wisely and effectively in this new, I think it's AI. Uh, I actually experienced the same things. Oh, academic year, sorry. In this new academic year. Yeah, so yeah, the reason why we have this webinar series at this time is also with the consideration that the academic year is starting. So hopefully this will give you inspiration and motivation in creating new ways of learning. And yeah, I am also skeptical about the use of AI personally, but there is no way that you can avoid this. And yeah, especially if you teach teenagers, they have these creative ways to manipulate AI to do their homework, something like that. And I do understand your concerns, and it also happens to me. I also have my own concerns, but I think I agree with you that the most important part is you use it wisely and effectively, because the differences between AI and humans, they have feelings. Humans have feelings. You know whether using AI is right or wrong. You know the limits when this is not wise or this is wise. I'm using AI for my students. I'm using AI for a good purpose, for a good reasons. And yeah, it helps me realize that we cannot escape the technological advancement. We cannot always avoid everything that is not right. I mean, that is related to AI, something like that. So yeah, the stigma is concerning, especially considering the environmental factors as well. Yeah, it happens to me as well, and I've heard a lot of teachers complaining about the use of AIs for their students. Their students use AI. Yeah, they always find ways to bend the system. It happens, but I don't think avoiding AI is the right way to avoid the bad things that AI can use. Uh, as long as you know the limits, and I believe you are wiser than me because you have more experience in teaching. And yeah, the more you master it, I believe you can also understand your students better, like why they use AI. Maybe it's related to the activities as well, their own preferences, their own moral stance. Yeah, uh, you can use it wisely and effectively. And if you encourage your student to use it wisely as well, I believe this will also help reduce the effect of AI, because we cannot fully stop the use of AI. Mr. Amin, I used to change video to text. And the important thing is to make sure that the student is, yeah, this is what we want to highlight here. So you cannot always avoid AI because it happens. Even when you open Instagram or TikTok, they use AI um to see what you like, what kind of video you like. If you open YouTube, they will also use AI. Even if you Google, you still will get AI response. Now WhatsApp have AI as well. So everything is AI based right now. And you cannot just avoid those, although it has a lot of harms, a lot of disadvantages. But the key point is you know the limit, whether you use it wisely, whether you use it effectively. And if your intention is good, I believe it's not that challenging to decide whether this is wise or not. Ms. Monita, I do agree with Ms. Laras that AI is incredibly creative in helping us design differentiated learning that aligns with the deep learning approach. With AI, we can easily tailor materials based on students' readiness, interests, and learning profiles. It supports us in creating multi-level stacks, personalized tasks, and even interactive activities that promote critical thinking, collaboration, and meaningful learning, just as deep learning aims to do. It's truly a powerful tool for today's English teacher. Yes, that is right, Ms. Monita. Thank you very much for sharing. Yes, so what we want to highlight in this webinar series as well is how we can use AI in a positive way. So we highly not encourage you to be dependent to AI, but we want AI to help you create better lessons, to help your student learns better, to encourage their critical thinking, so they will feel motivated to try to write by themselves, try to speak by themselves, not using AI, something like that. Yeah, it's a really tricky situation, and there is no right or wrong answer, but yeah, you have your own moral value that you stands on, and we cannot force you to use AI, but we want to encourage the usage of AI in a wise and effective way. Yes, how it if it happens in the very remote area students, is there any solution, Miss? So what I'd like to do, well, I don't teach remote area students, but I teach young learners that doesn't have access to devices, and sometimes the classroom doesn't support facilities for digital learnings. I usually use AI to create text or image, then I print those. Although it might cost more, but it really helps during the learning, and you can always reuse it. Or I only use AI to generate the ideas, then I implement the ideas used without any devices or digital tools. So it really depends on the situation and the learning objective as well. Ms. Nurjana said, I think that we need to adopt materials from AI based on our students' differentiation in our class. By doing so, the students' needs can be accommodated better. Yes, I totally agree with this. AI is inevitable because of the ubiquity of gadgets. I guess we don't have much options to keep students away from using it. Yes, I totally agree with this because AI is everywhere. Even it's out of your control whether your student use AI or not because it's everywhere. But what you can do is you can try to use it wisely by yourself first, and then you can encourage your student to use it wisely. Yeah, just like even before AI, you will still see students cheating. It's not something that you can just stop. So yeah, it's very tricky. There is no right or wrong answers. And I hope the answers given by the discussions today can help you see the better ways to use AI. I sometimes rework the audio files provided for my classes. I take the transcript and transform it into a video. I utilize AI voice with different dialects so that students can have an alternative audio or video with native dialect. I hope this method will also help the students to get used to listening to foreigners. That is very good, Mr. Dama. Thank you for sharing because we are going to discuss AI tools to create audio. So maybe if you are like me, I'm pure Javanese, so sometimes my accent can get in the way of teaching pronunciation or maybe speaking. AI can really help them familiarize with the native dialect. So I hope this sharing can also inspire you to create better materials. And Miss Mariana, since maybe there are no needed facilities, electricity, and internet as well. Oh, this is related to rural areas. Yes, I like to use printed materials. Yeah, if text and image is really needed in the classroom, I use printed materials. How to make it less robotic? Well, there are some apps that have already developed audio-based AI audio that is not robotic. But again, it is inevitable because, yeah, that's just how it's programmed. And I believe they keep progressing as time passes by. So yeah, it happens that it's robotic. You can just teach. Usually, I just mentioned that, but usually when you speak to people, you don't use that kind of tone, yeah, something like that. So yeah, it happens. But we will discuss further about audio in the next session. Okay, thank you very much for your sharing. Let's see. Okay, so AI can also be used to facilitate personalization. As we have briefly discussed before, I believe you have, or some of you have already familiar with this. You can use image to include different genders and ethnicities. If you are teaching a diverse students, you can totally use AI for this purpose. And you can also use to source local content. For example, if you want to teach stories that are related to culture, you can use AI, and you can also use it to contrast and compare. Since there are plenty of digital resources in the internet, you can use AI to generate those that suits your students better. And this one, I believe some teachers have already implemented this. So you can generate questions that is expected to help them create personal responses, and this will help you understand your student better. The student will also feel that the lesson is meaningful, so this will be very useful as well. And yeah, there are a lot of AI tools that you can use, but how do you choose the right differentiation and personalization method? Sorry, this is from the template. Okay, so first you have to choose the lesson plan, and you have to analyze your learner's need. Maybe if, like Ibu Mariana have mentioned, maybe the learners have no access to device, then you can include those in your analysis of learners' need and analyze lessons, and you can identify the opportunities for differentiation. For example, if it's text, then you can differentiate the levels, just like I believe Miss Monita did. And it's differentiation, but for personalization, maybe you can generate questions, or it depends on your class preference as well. Maybe if they react better to video or audio, you can generate a personalized listening audio or video that help them become more interested in the lesson. And then you can create the learning resource and plan. So as we have discussed earlier as well, since AI have its own disadvantages, you want to make sure that you know what you need before accessing the AI, because AI have environmental risk as well. So the more you use AI, the worse it is for the environment. So just make sure you know you have a plan, you have the ideas of how the students reacts to several things. If you have taught in the classroom for a really long time, I believe you have no difficulties in doing this. So that is just a brief theory of how to choose the right differentiation. And my next question is, do you think personalization and differentiation is crucial for deep learning, especially for those who are teaching in formal school? How far do you think personalization and differentiation means for deep learning? Please share your experience in the chat box. Or if you want to directly share, you can raise your hand. Okay. Oh, yeah. Mr. Tamba mentioned that some apps can make it more human-like. However, it is difficult to control the tone it creates. So still with trial and error. Oh, yeah, you can use commas or even chunk the sentence text from inputting into two shorter sentences, hoping that the audio file outcome will sound more natural. Yeah, that is a very good ideas. I hope this can help you in creating audio that sound less robotic. Okay, any comments about deep learning using personalization and differentiation? Have you implement deep learning in your classroom? Or is it something that is very new to you? Okay, while waiting for the response, I'll continue. So you can also use AI tools to enhance active learning. This is also have been discussed briefly. Previously, we talked about how AI tools can help them become more active, like Miss Monita said. And you can consider how digital learning resources can be used to enhance active learning. Think about some of the resources and how you can use them with your learners to increase engagement. Maybe if your class is not that active, you can use this kind of activities to help them become more active. For example, using image and videos, you can use AI to generate those, songs, podcasts, and other audio files, as we have discussed before. Also, interactive quizzes, you can use Kahoot or maybe other apps that you are familiar with. Then you can also use simulation and games. You can also use games without digital tools, like games that help them interact with others. And you can use AI content generators. I usually use AI to get more ideas of how we can use the content that we have, maybe from the books or maybe from the lesson plans that we have already created, how we can make it more diverse, how we can make it more differentiated, more active, something like that. So you can always use AI for this. Let's see. Okay, so from the previous slide, we have heard some responses here. I think it is very crucial to accommodate the students' different needs effectively. The students are able to comprehend the lesson deeply and meaningfully and enjoyably. Yes, this is the principle of deep learning. So yeah, it's very crucial to accommodate the student different needs. And in deep learning, we have to ensure that the student really enjoy and get meaning from what they are learning. Yes, that is very correct, Miss Nif Atul. I totally agree with that. Oh yeah, this is actually related to active learning, yeah. Using discussion to engage students in the learning process. The textbook is always include articles or like scientific articles, I believe. And I typically ask students to discuss the topics by connecting them to their own experience. This is personalization. If the article is about unique cultures in certain regions, I have them share the unique cultural habits found in their own families. Very good. Thank you, Miss Asri, for sharing. This can also be applied to other classes as well, I believe. Right. Okay. Miss Siti, deep learning emphasizes mindful, meaningful, and joyful learning. Learning can be mindful, meaningful, and joyful of its relevant to students' need. Personalized and differentiated learning can promote this mindful, meaningful, and joyful learning as what they learn matches their needs and relevant to their real day-to-day life context. That is very good, Miss Siti. Yes. This is the kind of thing that we want to emphasize, that you can use AI to facilitate deep learning, because I believe deep learning is a new concept that we have to implement for formal schools teachers. So creating personalized and differentiated learning can help you implement deep learning in your lessons. Ms. Paramita, I think yes, deep learning is all about the meaning of the knowledge, not just memorization. Yes, that is very good, because most classes, I believe, English classes especially, usually appreciate memorization more. So it's a new thing that we have to implement, and yeah, hopefully students can connect the lesson to their lives, and students have different lives. So I think it's crucial, and never forget the fun. Yes. Not only fun, but also meaningful, not only meaningful, but also fun. Thank you. The core of deep learning is critical thinking, and I think differentiation and personalization allow students to make choices, which fosters independence and ownership. I totally agree with that. It is very crucial since deep learning is based on the ability of the students thinking. So in deep learning, we facilitate the students to learn and think based on their own ability in critical thinking. Yes, in the module, we also discuss about critical thinking as well. So it's very related to deep learning, yeah, although this module is created for teachers all around the world. But turned out deep learning is very deeply rooted in the digital resources. I think personalization and deep learning are important to apply in order we can fulfill different needs of our student. Very good. Thank you, Ms. Nitya. Crucial in DL as the first, the students are aware what they learn. Second, they will apply it and they reflect it. Yes. So it will not only be something that they memorize and they forget after the examination or something. I think personalization and differentiation in deep learning is important, but the problem is the big amount of children. Yes. This is very challenging. A big amount of children can make the personalization process difficult for teachers. Yes, and I believe a teacher also mentioned about this previously, that they try to create questions that all students can answer. So it's personalized, but you don't need to adjust each of those materials. And Ms. Asri, yes, absolutely. The module clearly emphasizes personalization, which allows students to take ownership of their learning, an essential aspect of the deep learning concept. Yes, I totally agree with all of you. I'm glad that we have the same perception about personalization and differentiation. And the next question is, how often do you implement active learning in your classroom? I believe one teacher have already mentioned that they use real life cases in the lesson. Like if they are learning about science, they use science to learn. They explore the school to find the science. That is one of the example of active learning. Yeah. They get to implement critical thinking, so they didn't just memorize, do not smoke, something like that. But they see it in real life. Oh, this is a sign about not smoking. So if you want to make a prohibition, then you can use this language structure, something like that. Yeah, active learning is also part of deep learning. Does any of you want to share by turning on your microphone? Maybe you can raise your hand. Well, not often, sadly. Hopefully, in this academic year, I'll do it in every meeting. I mean, yeah, hopefully, this new academic year will be a fresh start for all of the teachers to create lessons more creatively, more effectively, more active, more meaningful. And I hope that the discussion can help you get more ideas, more motivation to create those. Okay, and this is also part of Unit 3. We talk about critical and creative engagement. Earlier, some teachers mentioned about critical thinking. This is also related to that. So you can always use AI to support you in creating, supporting critical and creative engagement of your students. For example, you can use AI to encourage learners to experiment with different prompts. So this is what I mentioned about not prohibiting the use of AI, but encouraging the use of AI wisely. So first, you can encourage them to use AI, but wisely. So with supervision and something that is related to the lesson as well. So you don't have to do this, but if you want to do this, then this will be good to foster their critical engagement. And you can also ask them to consider the different uses of AI and its pros and cons. And yeah, if your students are familiar with AI, maybe this will motivate them to understand better how to use AI wisely. What is the disadvantages of AI? And hopefully this will also motivate them to use AI wisely, since they are most of your learners are underage, sometimes they have difficulties in doing things wisely, and you as a teacher are the one that can influence them in being more wise. And remind learners about the significant environmental impact of AI machines and tools. I believe this is not commonly known yet, but AI is really bad for the environment. Someone said that one prompt of ChatGPT is equal to throwing away 15 bottles of water. So that's how harmful AI is for the environment. But again, you cannot stop them. It's out of our control. But what you can control is how to use them more wisely, how to encourage your student to use them more wisely, how to inform and educate your students that the use of AI is supposed to be helping you, not to make you dependent on it. And for creative engagement, you can create discussion tasks, drama activities, storytelling, problem solving, and even you can use AI to uh, create some kind of arts and crafts ideas for your classroom, depending on your learning objective. Let's hear from the chat box. Okay, Miss Monita combined traditional games with digital platforms like M.Li, quizzes, Kahoot, Word Wall, and Bluecat as part of her implementation of active learning in English classes. Yeah, this app, you can use this app for creating interactive and active learning. So yeah, hopefully this will also inspire other teachers as well. This approach encourages students to engage more deeply with the material through interactive and meaningful activities. For example, I use word matching card games for vocabulary practice, then follow it up with competitive quiz on quizzes to reinforce the same topic. These games require students to think critically, collaborate, and apply their knowledge in real time, which aligns perfectly with the principles of active learning. By blending both traditional and digital tools, I can create a lively, student-centered environment where learners are not only having fun, but also actively developing their English skills. Yeah, this is very good. Thank you for sharing, Ms. Monita. I believe this will also motivate other teachers in creating active learning classes. So other than the apps that we have introduced, maybe if you are against I believe Genially, Quizzes, Kahoot, WordWall, and Bluecat is not really AI based. You can generate different kind of games depending on which one is suitable with the learning objective and your student's characteristic. Oh, Mr. Jana, almost every meeting implement active learning in my class since I keep emphasizing to my students that the formative evaluation is mostly evaluated from their active classroom participation. It is really challenging and encouraging for them. Yes, this is also what we like to encourage. So hopefully this sharing can motivate other teachers to have active learning in their classroom. Okay, Ms. Mulyati asks, are there any special topics in English deep learning in elementary and junior high school? For this year, I believe grade 7 students learn English for the first time because in the previous curriculum, they did not learn English yet. Yes, this can be very challenging because the curriculum changed a lot, and I believe you are not alone in this. So other teachers, if you relate to this, you can share your experience by replying to Ms. Mulyati chats. Yeah, it's very challenging to implement deep learning for elementary and junior high school, because it's a very new thing as well. But yeah, but my suggestion is you can ask AI for support, or you can also share with other teachers, collaborate with them in creating deep learning based activities for elementary and junior high school students. And that is the end of today's discussion about Module 2. Please do not worry if you have not finished Module 2 yet. You can access it anytime until September. But if you want to get the free e-certificate from this webinar session, you will need to finish Module 2 before Monday. So we will only provide e-certificate for this webinar series especially in this session, for those who have finished Module 2 and before Monday. Thank you very much. Ms. Agnes, do you have a question?
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Laras. I would like to ask about finishing. I just find out that I didn't do it inside the app, so I
Mhm.
think I will have to redo it. But I've already starting and then checking. So when I have finished the module 1, they will just keep the work, yeah, and then I will continue to the module 2. Is that right?
Yes, so there
And the
is
bars
no,
are, yeah, the bars is going percentage and so on.
yeah,
Ah,
yeah, so there is no some kind of specific work that you have to submit. So it's for your own personal learning.
yeah.
So it's based on your own pace. But wait, let me show you. So to check whether you have progress or not, you can check this progress bar. So in each unit, you will need to complete some kind of assessment. Oops. Yeah, so there is some multiple choice questions that you have to answer, and you
Yeah.
can always redo it if you find any kind of difficulties. But what we are encouraging you to do is to do module 2 until the progress bar have progressed. So if it's module 2, I believe it's not 100%, but
Yeah.
maybe 60 or something.
The
Thank you for the
modules
question, Bu
only
Agnes.
from the module 1 altogether.
To get the e-certificate from this webinar series, we encourage
Oh,
you to finish Module 1 and Module 2.
okay.
But to get the e-certificate from British Council, you have to finish for until Module 3. But you can always take your time because this module is accessible until September.
Okay, noted. Yeah. So
Okay,
I've done the, yeah, yes, I'm studying, reviewing everything. Thank you for this opportunity once again.
Thank you very much, Ms. Agnes, for your enthusiasm in
Thank you.
learning. I hope it also motivate other teachers to be as motivated and as enthusiastic as you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question, maybe? Okay, someone asked in the chat box, untuk yang belum sama sekali mengakses modul 1 dikarenakan ada isu, apakah masih diperbolehkan? Ya, silahkan mengakses modul 1 dan 2. Bisa diakses kapanpun, Bapak Ibu. Jadi, semisal nanti tengah malam mau mengerjakan juga tidak masalah, karena ini memang tidak ada yang mengecek. Jadi, untuk pembelajaran pribadi Bapak Ibu, semisal dirasa tadi materinya kok menarik, tapi belum begitu dalam. Jadi, kalau di webinar ini memang kita fokuskan ke diskusi, tapi kalau ingin mempelajari materinya lebih lanjut, Bapak Ibu bisa mengakses modul ini. Seperti itu. Dan ini bisa diakses kapanpun, tapi kalau Bapak Ibu ingin mendapatkan e-certificate dari webinar series sesi ini, Bapak kita bagikan di akhir acara. Gitu. Baik. Oke. Uh, untuk link MOOC-nya sudah kami share di grup WhatsApp. Apakah Bapak Ibu sudah, semoga Bapak Ibu sudah join semua. Tapi mungkin kalau perlu link lagi, mungkin panitia bisa dibantu share linknya. Lalu untuk screenshotnya, nanti di akhir acara akan kami berikan Google Form. Jadi Bapak Ibu bisa mengisi Google Form tersebut, dan kalau sudah mengisi Google Form akan otomatis mendapat e-certificate. Seperti itu. Nah, Google Form itu bisa diakses hingga hari Senin, jadi diharapkan Bapak Ibu bisa menyelesaikan modul 2 terakhir hari Senin. Seperti itu. How to register the MOOC? dan juga link MOOC-nya sudah kami share di grup WhatsApp. Mungkin setelah ini akan kami share lagi. Seperti itu. Nah, ini sudah di-share oleh Miss Agnia. Nah, ini modul yang harus dikerjakan, Bapak Ibu. Bentar. Sepertinya koneksi saya memang kurang baik ya. Jadi, ya seperti yang saya sampaikan tadi, memang modul ini bukan sesuatu yang harus dikerjakan gitu ya. Tapi ini untuk mendukung diskusi kita di sesi webinar. Lalu, memang tidak ada yang mengecek, maksudnya tidak ada yang mengecek apakah Bapak Ibu sudah mengerjakan, namun kami harapkan memang Bapak Ibu mengerjakan, karena ini akan sangat bermanfaat untuk uh, pengajaran Bapak Ibu nantinya. Lalu yang harus dikerjakan itu nanti akan ada materi seperti itu, tapi ini masih loading ya. Nah, saya ingin menunjukkan tapi masih loading. Jadi nanti akan ada teks, semacam teks yang Bapak Ibu bisa akses, dan itu berisi materi. Nanti akan ada konten-konten interaktif seperti studi kasus, dan juga ada sharing dari guru-guru yang mungkin bisa menginspirasi Bapak Ibu. Nah, ini misalnya tentang personalization. Nah, yang harus Bapak Ibu lakukan untuk mendapatkan e-sertifikat itu tadi, itu di setiap akhir unit Bapak Ibu harus menyelesaikan review. Nah, review ini adalah semacam kuis yang Bapak Ibu bisa ulang-ulang terus. Nah, seperti ini. Jadi, Bapak Ibu harus menjawab 4 pertanyaan pilihan ganda ini. Nanti kalau Bapak Ibu tidak lulus, bisa mengulang lagi dan mengulang terus sampai lulus, sampai progress barnya jadi 100% complete. Seperti itu. Nah, semoga menjawab pertanyaan Bapak Ibu. Apabila ada pertanyaan lebih lanjut, bisa disampaikan. Insya Allah akan saya jawab sebisanya. Karena waktunya terbatas, saya akhiri sesi sharing discussion untuk MOOC modul 2, dan selanjutnya akan ada sesi pembahasan AI Tools to Generate Worksheet. Terima kasih atas perhatian Bapak Ibu. Saya kembalikan forum ke Miss Agnia.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Laras, for reviewing the module 2 and leading a very interesting discussions about digital inclusion. And thank you very much to all participants who already shared a lot of insightful ideas about using AI in differentiated learning. I hope this session can inspire you in integrating AI in your teaching and learning process wisely. Okay, now let's move on to our second sessions of this webinar titled Creating Worksheets Using AI, delivered by Ms. Fahrani Reza, S.Pd. And the Q&A session will be merged with the material presentation session. So if you have any question in the middle of the presentation, feel free to send your question in the chat box. And okay, I will introduce you. Who is Ms. Fahrani Reza? Okay, Ms. Fahrani Reza, S.Pd, is a student with a background in linguistic and education. She completed her bachelor degrees in English language education at Universitas Brawijaya, and now pursuing a master's degree in applied linguistics at the same institution. Her interests include language teaching, pragmatics, linguistic landscape, and cultural studies. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Fahrani Reza, S.Pd.
Hey, thank you, Miss Agnia. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, teachers. I see you all just had a very interesting discussion, a discourse about AI, which I think it's something very on topic lately. I mean, talk about AI. At first, we don't really have a choice to start using AI because it started to emerge nowadays in of the progressive age and something like that, and we have no other choice but to utilize AI. As teachers, especially, I used to have some sort of personal resentment is when my student use AI, because I think of it as cheating. One time I had a task for my students to do a dialogue, and one of the group just appeared. Oh, miss, we've already done it. When I saw the result, it is very clearly ChatGPT, and it just frustrates me, of course. But then again, we can't really change how the current age is. People start to use AI, so this is the function of the whole webinar series, really, how to utilize AI in our classroom. Yeah, so without further ado, today I will discuss about creating worksheet using AI itself. Now, let me present my screen first. Okay, like so. So before that, I would like to ask the teachers to join Mentimeter first because I have a brief discussion about that. So please, you can scan the barcode or the code is right here, 39238055. Mungkin Miss Agnia, you may share the link through chat box. So since Mentimeter have limitation for 50 participants, so the rest of you who cannot join, you may answer it through chat box. Okay. Let us see first. Okay, it seems that we already have some answers. That's interesting. Okay. What do you use to create a worksheet? ChatGPT. Yep. Gemini. Yes. Canva, Google Docs. Absolutely. Most of them are very common. Yeah, I personally sometimes I use Word if I do have more time to do so, and I'll browse for more materials online. But then how I applied it to my worksheet is usually by Word. Okay, what else? Aku Guru. Oh, Aku Guru Hebat. I think it's new. I've never heard of that before. Aku Guru Inovatif, Aku Guru Semangat. Okay, paid. I think this is something new. Live worksheet using Canva. Yep, Canva is very, very common here. I mean, the designs in Canva, I mean, there's a lot of them. So yeah, I thoroughly agree. Okay, very good. Let's move on to the next slide. What is your difficulty in creating a worksheet? You may share it through a Mentimeter, or we have one from the chat box if you with me. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Nothing. Okay, so no difficulties in using creating worksheet. Selecting prompts, right activities, time limit, yep. Time and sources. I think this is such a common difficulty when it comes to making worksheets. Sometimes you have so much happening in your plate and you don't have time to design a eye-catching worksheet, probably making new materials and such. My ability in English, creativity, and time constraint, as I have another position at school. Yes, as I mentioned before, as teachers, we have other responsibilities besides being a teacher in a classroom. We have, yeah, other roles to fill, and because of that, it takes time to create a worksheet. And today, I will hopefully solve all your problems regarding time constraints by using AI to create a worksheet. So, oh, okay. Deciding the level of difficulty for the students. Sometimes we feel it's too easy for us, but it's still too difficult for students. Yep. As mentioned before, students with their different level of proficiency sometimes can affect us teachers to adapt certain worksheets for them. Yeah, it is a common problem too. Different ability in English, because AIs always help us, so nothing difficult. Yep. To present it interesting and attract students, I need much time to curate and yes, various templates. So today I will hopefully answer most of the questions here. So let's go back to the presentation again. Okay. So with using AI, by creating worksheets using AI, I can give you time efficiency and convenience. We can quickly generate materials, saving valuable preparation time, and also customizable content. Easily tailor worksheets to specific topics, grade levels, and student needs. Also, we can go beyond simple questions. Most common ones would be multiple choices or fill in the blanks. Now, some AI tools provide other options besides the ones that mentioned before. So yeah, one thing for sure that we can all agree on is that AI can make you have much easier workload. So no more hassle about we don't have enough time to create ones. Say you have an urgent pop quiz to your students and you don't actually have the time to construct, to design, to think about certain materials. I will provide you some interesting AI tools. Now, to plan your worksheet, of course, naturally, you need to decide the topic. What subject or specific lesson will this worksheet cover? Are we talking about today's lesson will be present tense, maybe simple present tense. Tenses can be quite tricky to teach students because they all need some kind of, they need to get used to be around tenses too in order to teach them sometimes. So the second one would be set the difficulty, tailor the complexity to your students' learning level. Is this for intermediate or advanced or beginner students? Yep. Choose the questions type as well. What format will be most effective? For example, multiple choice, true or false, word bank, and etc. Make it eye-catching, so a good design can increase students' engagement. Okay. Now, here is an overview of AI tools for worksheet making. I'm sure, as mentioned before, your teachers have already mentioned others besides these 5. So any of you familiar with this one on the left? Top left? Anyone? Or no? This is my worksheet maker. Yep, I will go through it one by one. This one is, of course, Worksheet AI, and this is Worksheet Zone, ChatGPT, and Canva. So for today's session, I will only discuss about these 3, since these 2 are already I'm sure you're all quite familiar with these 2. So only these 3 for today. Okay, I will discuss it from my personal least favorite to the most favorite. So by the end of the day, it's your own preference, but this is based on my own recommendation. All right, so let's talk about the pros and cons on each AI tool. ChatGPT, efficient and time-saving, highly customizable content, diverse question types. However, it does not have formatting options. We don't actually, ChatGPT doesn't provide you any design. It's just solely on the material that will be put inside the worksheet. So requires accuracy checks. I'm sure it is the most common problem when it comes to ChatGPT. Sometimes they can give you some false information and you have to double check it. Right, my worksheet maker, it's very free, wide range of templates, very easy to use. Some are paid, very basic edit options, not optimized for all device. So what it means by the last point is that the designs to use in my worksheet maker, it would be recommended to you apply it through your PC or laptop, because by phone it can be very tricky with such a small screen. So yeah, Worksheet AI, very time saving. Yep. However, as many common AI tools, full access requires payment. And yeah, I will discuss the price comparison after this one as well. And then Worksheet Zone, extensive worksheet library, customizable content, free and accessible. Of course, the premium ones. With Worksheet Zone, I will discuss it on later, but they have unlimited library. What the meaning is that some teachers have already made templates for certain worksheets. So example, I want to talk about present tense, and we just type it off, and there's already many templates already been made ready to use in your classroom. So this is the perks of Worksheet Zone. And Canva, of course, professional and creative design and highly flexible. It's time to learn. And yes. Okay, so prices comparison. ChatGPT, as we all know, it's premium as well for some features. I guess the cheapest one would be $6 a month, Worksheet Zone. But for me personally, Worksheet Zone, it doesn't really matter if you don't use the premium ones. I guess the differences doesn't really matter when it comes to Worksheet Zone. So yeah, to understand it better, I guess we should give it a go. So this is a prompt to use in ChatGPT if you wanted to create a worksheet material for your classroom. You are an expert teacher skilled at creating effective resources. Your task is to create a worksheet for my blank, grade level and subject. Bisa dimasukin grade level dan subjeknya apa. Student learning tentang apa. The worksheet should include specific content. Itu, subjeknya tentang hari ini tentang apa. Provide berapa number for content category. Mau misalnya multiple choices, mau fill in the blank, etc. Create 2 versions, a blank worksheet for my students and an answer key for the teacher. Bisa dicoba Bapak Ibu? Ini contohnya ya. Okay, saya ini 10th grade English students, Indonesian folktales. The worksheets should create searching main idea in a paragraph. Provide 10 items for reading comprehension. 2 versions. Nah, setelah saya buat tadi, ternyata ada miscommunication. Dia ini tidak provide paragraph dan malah sendiri-sendiri. Tiap number itu beda cerita. It seems there's a miscommunication. Karena itu, saya tambahi lagi. Ini sudah ada answer key-nya, but then again, it's not really completed yet, I would say. Nah, can you divide it into 2 instead? 5 question answering one folktale, another 5 question answering a different folktale. Please include the story for both of them. Nah, setelah itu, dia baru operate as I wanted. Jadi ada paragrafnya dulu, ceritanya seperti apa, baru questionsnya. Why did Maling Kundang go to the city? And as such, nah, folktale kedua udah beda lagi. Nah, ya, seperti itu. Lalu answer key-nya udah langsung di bawah. Ini gimana jadi buat personal notes-nya kita as a teacher. Dan ini juga udah offer printable-nya, PDF or Google Docs. Nah, minusnya seperti tadi, ChatGPT itu solely provide materinya doang. Kalau mau desainnya kayak gimana, itu beda lagi. Harus utilize mungkin pakai Canva untuk memasukkannya gimana ke desain kita, template kita. Jadi kalau ChatGPT and Canva itu has to go hand in hand. Jadi materinya Canva, materinya ChatGPT, template Canva. Seperti itu. Okay, now let's move to my worksheet maker. Nah, ini tampilannya seperti ini, Bapak Ibu. Jadi, would I say this is AI? Not exactly. After I discover all the features, it doesn't really provide much AI-related tools, but it does give you some kind of advantage. Kalau misalnya, kalau buat Word itu kan untuk buat fill in the blank atau matching itu, it needs a lot of patience. We have to klik shapes dulu, cari line, shapes lagi buat ini. Nah, perks-nya buat pakai yang ini, misalnya, kita mau tambah, nah, activities-nya ada banyak, ada multiple choices, open response, fill in the blank, ada matching juga, word scramble, handwriting. Nah, ini buat organization, maksudnya nanti setelah kita, let me just show you, so we can understand it better. Okay, let's include something from here. Oke. Minusnya pakai ini, masukinnya satu-satu. Ya, jadi so each of the tools have its advantage and disadvantage. So yeah, yang ini harus lebih patient karena satu-satu. That's so, like so. Yep. And then after that, kalau misalnya sudah selesai, I need kayaknya mau divariasi worksheet ini seperti apa. Tambah lagi fill in the blank. Nah, fill in the blank ini write full sentence-nya apa. Ya, write fill in the blank ini bisa nanti tolong chat GPT juga tambahan untuk extra question buat fill in the blank. Nah, setelah itu tinggal di-include ke my worksheet maker. Now, then again, my worksheet maker ini, as I said before, is it really AI? Not exactly, but it does give you customized activities like open response questions, multiple choice, word scramble, handwriting practice, checklist. Nah ya, premium featuresnya, it's not really that much. Jadi, not much of a difference. Nanti kalau tinggal udah selesai, tinggal finish and print. Ini kita adjust sesuai ini apa, make printable. And then nanti ada PDF-nya. Iya, seperti itu. Jadi ya, my worksheet maker, as I said before, it is my least favorite, but sometimes itu juga ngebantu juga untuk saya buat worksheet. Kalau misalnya saya butuh template yang urgent, I would use this sometimes. Okay. So far, do we have any questions? Oh, it seems like I missed one. Will it be possible to provide the prompts to chat so we can give it a try? Oh, sudah dikasih ke Miss Agnia. How do I verify the accuracy and appropriateness of the AI-generated material before using it in a classroom? Yes, Bapak, it is a very, very common problem when it comes to like giving materials to students. If we decided to solely rely on AI, I think personally, us as teachers, we need to double check. So we can't really solely rely on AI, although it does make your workload much easier. So to verify the accuracy and appropriateness, I guess it all depends to us on teachers because back again, we all know the students better than anyone. We know our students what their proficiency is like, whether they like this one or that one. It all comes back to us. So after we produce it using AI, we can actually modify it as well. Maybe we saw the result and it's not really, it doesn't really match the vibe of the students. So because of that, we need to modify it again. So yeah, it all comes back to us as teachers. I think we are the ones who know which one is more appropriate, which one is more accurate. So yeah, double check is important, even though we rely on AI. Yep. Okay, next we move on to Worksheets AI. So this is the tampilannya untuk Worksheet AI. Yep, like so. They offer many templates, which is nice. Print or export to Kahoot and such. However, as I mentioned before, to access those features, it has to be premium. Yep. So yeah, there's some limitations when it comes to premium features, and it sometimes can be frustrating. Yeah. Now, okay. Hey, what are we teaching today? Kita subjeknya misalnya hari ini kita mau bikin future tense. Nah, as you can see, Bapak Ibu, enhance my requests. Press tab key. Jadi, oleh AI itu, misalnya kita cuma future tense. Nah, ini dilengkapi lagi oleh mereka full on detailed yang mau apa. Future tense ini, everyday communications, clear examples, design interaktifnya, dan ini. Nah, kita double check dulu apakah ini sesuai. Kalau sudah, generated. Ya. Nah, untuk yang worksheet AI ini, they gave you a free trial selama 13 hari. sorry, 14 hari. So more or less 2 minggu dikasih free trial. Setelah itu back to premium. Unfortunately, yeah. Okay, this might take a while. Selagi kita menunggu yang ini, karena tadi saya sebelumnya sudah pernah coba ini, and it does take a while to design and the worksheet. Okay, now selagi kita menunggu ini, kita ubah ke worksheet zone. Nah, as I mentioned before, I think personally this is my favorite one. I will explain why this is my favorite one. So, bisa create from scratch atau generate by AI. Let's try generate by AI since most of the problems yang Bapak Ibu encounter itu time constraint ya. Jadi kita coba generate by AI. Keywordnya apa? Mungkin masih future tense ya. Nah, kita nih ada options. Mau lewat quizzes, word search, crossword, or word scramble. Let's try quiz dulu. Nah, it's gonna take a minute. Also, ada paragraf juga di sini. Nah, paragraf ini gunanya nanti, misalnya, kita mau ambil dari ChatGPT tadi, kita copy, like so. This is just an example ya. Let's go back to future tense. Nah, kita sebagai guru, we should review one of the questions one by one, whether it's appropriate for us to include it to our classroom nanti di worksheetnya gimana. Nah, nanti kalau misalnya ada yang, okay, I think that I like this one, checklist, add question, ini question bebas, mau seberapa. Okay. How do you say we go? Let's all select add questions. Nanti langsung di-directed ke, nah, ininya. Misalnya, sudah jadi ya ini ya, dari AI. Misalnya masih kurang, aduh kayaknya 6 question masih kurang deh. Add new questions using AI. Tambah lagi. Masih future tense. Oke, sambil menunggu. Nah, tambah lagi, mungkin yang ini boleh. Tambah jadi 7. Jadi gitu. Misalnya masih kurang pertanyaannya bisa tanya AI lagi, add new question using AI. Atau kalau misalnya Bapak Ibu punya materi sendiri, tinggal dimasukin saja. Gitu. Nah, kita coba cek fitur yang ada di tiap multiple choice ini. Misalnya ini sudah ada pertanyaannya, dan kita mau add answer explanation. Bisa generate with AI. Nah, nanti keluar dari AI-nya dijelasin kenapa answer-nya C, karena future tense ini will, jadi dijelasin secara detail oleh AI. Let's apply that to every question. Kita cek satu-satu dulu. Kalau misalnya masih kurang, maybe we can add more after that. Ini misalnya, saya kurang suka explanation ini. Kita bisa modify juga karena ini bisa diedit ya, Bapak Ibu. Okay, next one. Answer explanation. Again, generate with AI. Nah, keluar lagi. I will eat. Kenapa answer B? Karena it depicts habitual action. I have eaten. Jadi di-compare satu-satu. Kalau misalnya kayaknya saya mau explanation-nya satu-satu gitu. Nah, kita bisa add a personalized explanation di tiap option ini. Nanti kalau misalnya studentnya pilih C, it's not C karena ini gini-gini gitu. Seperti kurang lebih. Nah, okay, let's just say kita save ya. Nah, kita save dulu. Nanti setelah save ini, langsung ke My Library. Oke, misalnya ini tentang future tense. English, nah untuk grade ini conditional ya Bapak Ibu, karena again, ini buat personal use juga, so it doesn't really have to match what you're currently teaching. Karena by the end of the day, this is personal use. Let's say 10th grade. Okay, grammar, etc. And then we publish. Nah, another perk of Worksheet Zone is that dikasih dua option, mau self-paced learning, buat studentsnya nanti bisa dikasih linknya. Jadi nanti questionnya nanti sesuai sama yang sudah dibuat. Timernya dikasih berapa, mau multiple choice atau instant feedback. Oke, nanti dikasih ini belajar sendiri, belajar secara mandiri kurang lebih. Nanti kalau sudah disubmit, nanti gurunya bisa cek. Nah, nanti diceknya bisa melalui let's go back. Nah, ini. Saya tadi kita ceknya di My Library sini. Like so. Nah, kita balik ke future tense. Ya, minusnya suka ada pop-up ads seperti ini. Jadi ya, harus sabar-sabar aja Bapak Ibu ya. Oke, start teaching activities. Nah, ini, worksheet zone ini, kurang lebih sama kayak Kahoot juga. Misalnya, jadi worksheetnya bisa dibuat dalam form classic mode seperti ini, nanti di kelas bisa ditampilkan secara bareng-bareng, atau bisa assign homework, bisa instructor-based, bisa face-to-face games. Nah, ini mau dibuat formnya nanti secara games, gimana? Nah, menurut saya yang paling interesting itu yang assign homework. Kenapa? I will show you why exactly. Pertama kita set deadline dulu. Misalnya deadline-nya, oke. Yap, hampir sama dengan quizzes. Bapak Syaifur Rahman, how can I students to use AI responsibly as part of their learning process? I guess the best answer to that is us as teachers, we are their role models. So as long as we continue to educate them by using AI wisely, hopefully by then the students will copy how we see AI, how we utilize AI in our classroom. So yeah, it utilize the way overall as their role model. By the end of the day, they will copy how we do that. So to train students, again, we need to know how they are in classroom. We need to know their needs. We need to know what kind of student they are, and the way we learn about them, the way we eventually know how to train them to be better. It is a tricky one, I would say, because back again, we all know the students like the back of our hands by the end of the day. So to do that, we need to be their role model. You need them to see us teachers as someone who, this teacher uses AI responsibly. They don't actually go to AI anytime there's a convenience. So I guess that's the best answer to that. Okay, let's go back to this one. Participants attempt, ini bisa dicoba berapa kali? Coba kita allow to start. Nah, ini nanti ada report options-nya. Misalnya, karena ini kita materinya tentang grammar, nanti misalnya di satu worksheet ini ada tentang grammar, ada tentang reading comprehension yang lainnya, atau gimana, nanti bisa di trace melalui AI suggestion sini. Mungkin kita coba ya. Do we have enough time here? Panitia, do we have enough time for like demo mungkin?
Yes,
I
maybe
think we
we
have
have 5 to 10 minutes left, Miss Fahrani.
all right. Okay, I think we have enough time to do so because I want to give it a go for Bapak Ibu. Okay, let's join. Copy link. 533-747. Oke, Bapak Ibu bisa bisa pencet linknya. Nanti kita Bapak Ibu bisa coba, nanti hasilnya bisa keluar di sini. Number of students, no data is available sekarang ya, karena masih nunggu. Mhm. Ini kalau bisa lebih gampangnya. Oke. Nah, mungkin kita bisa coba sedikit test run dulu sebelum kita lihat ya nanti report optionnya seberapa. Oh, oke. Need help. Oh, lagi. Jadi kita bisa trace progresnya students-nya seperti apa. Ya, nanti ada. Nah, ini dia. Week topic. Nanti kalau misalnya, karena ini grammar doang ya, kalau misalnya di satu itu ada topik yang lain, create a new assignment when only the weak topics. Jadi misalnya kalau ada yang kurang di yang topik ini, kita bisa buat lagi sendiri using this one. Ya. Oke. Kita sudah keluar nih. Few details. Let's see. Nah, ini grade accuracy kita bisa lihat. Jadi ini double as an evaluation juga ya buat Bapak Ibu sekalian worksheet ini. Misalnya kita lihat correct incorrectnya berapa. Jadi kurang lebih sama seperti quizzes. I would say yes. Misalnya kita mau ubah letter grade biar lebih gampang lihatnya. A, C minus, ini belum selesai. 10 scale dari 10. Nah, ini nilainya kurang lebih. Jadi kita bisa trace kalau misalnya lagi ongoing, kita bisa lihat progresnya seperti apa. Nah, untuk unlock full access-nya, karena ini masih ya free ya, you can only see 10 student reports, unfortunately. Jadi ya gitu. Again, kembali lagi, karena most premium ones always have, ya, it's perk. Contohnya kayak seperti ini. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, Bu Astrid, in your opinion, which one is more helpful for teachers and which one is more engaging for students? I would say personally a worksheet zone because quizzes sometimes can be quite repetitive. And karena students-nya juga sudah terbiasa mungkin pakai quizzes, jadi kayak, okay, that's another quizzes. Tapi with worksheet zone, I guess it gave them something more refresh, something more new, something yang mereka belum pernah coba. Seperti tadi ada contohnya gamesnya, worksheetnya ini mau dibuat dalam form, let's see here. Nah, Jeopardy, Hangman, so jadi ada variasinya juga. Kalau menurut saya, I think worksheet. So I've tried it before and I think my students really enjoyed that. Gitu, Bu Asri. Can we add our school logo? Okay. And to make it more formal in case we need to print that out. Now, the thing is with the worksheet zone, since I rarely use it for printable wise, I usually use it online like this one, assigned homework, Kahoot style or anything. Minusnya ini, dia itu pasti ada. Let me show you to understand it better. Yeah, color marknya. Gitu. Minusnya ini, agak a bit in the way ya, Bapak Ibu. Ada watermarknya. Can we add our school logo? Bisa. Kita nanti tinggal adjust di. Oke. Kalau setelah di print ini kadang harus agak nge-freeze, jadi kita harus balik lagi. So a bit of patience, but I think this is something new worth to be trying, I would say. Oke. Bisa, tapi ada feature edit untuk nambahkan school logo. Upload. There you go. Drop your files here or browse. Nanti bisa school logonya bisa dicantumkan. Okay. Yeah, you're welcome. Bapak Syaifur Rahman, how can I adapt or improve the AI-generated worksheet to promote student engagement and interaction? That is also a good question about student engagement and interaction. And I would say the answer to that is to utilize feature seperti ini, yang tadi, yang engaging. Jadi enggak basic template yang worksheet cuman multiple choices, that's it, kumpulin, selesai. Harus ada variasi seperti ini. Jeopardy, Hangman, Tic-Tac-Toe. Kalau ada waktu yang cukup, maybe I'll try it one by one. Tapi ya Bapak Ibu bisa coba sendiri yang bagian yang face-to-face games ini. I think this is one of the ways buat increase engagement buat students. Karena like I said before, normal templates can be quite repetitive and quite boring for students. And in order to do that, we need to add a little bit of spice, add a little bit of excitement to that, interactive wise. So in order to do that, is using face-to-face games seperti ini. Okay, it seems like we've already passed the time limit here. Okay, any more questions, Mungi? So before I close it? Okay, if not, thank you so much, Bapak Ibu, for listening to my presentation. Apologies if there's any miscommunication and whatsoever. Oh, okay, we have one. I usually use Kahoot quizzes and workflow to define learning and give assessment using G-form. My students sometimes feel boring about those games. What more games should I give to them to update my learning? Maybe you can give more media that I can learn. Again, back to Worksheet Zone. Worksheet Zone offers other templates. Misalnya, nah ini. Misalnya kita in a hurry and we need to make a designed templates yang udah ready to use. Kita tinggal press one of it, karena udah jadi, udah dibuat oleh creator sebelumnya, jadi kita make use of it. Provide me the links with the 3 worksheet generators. Okay, I think panitia nanti mungkin bisa reshare. Okay, I think we've already passed the time limit here. Thank you so much for today's participation, Bapak Ibu. I hope my material will be very valuable to all of you. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Back to Miss Agnia.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Ms. Fahrani, for the insightful session, and thank you very much to all participants for your active participation through today's webinar. All right, before we officially close, I would like to inform you about today's homework. Please work on Module 3, Supporting Learners to Digital Competencies on British Council MOOC, because the attendance list for the next webinar will be the same as today's attendance list. You will be required to upload the proof that you have completed Module 3 in order to get the certificate for the next webinar session. So don't forget to work on it. And don't forget to fill out the attendance list, which will be shared in the chat box by our committee. You will receive a free e-certificate after completing the attendance form, and you have to upload the proof that you have completed Module 2. So please make sure to finish Module 2 first before you fill out the attendance list form. And we will open the attendance list form until Monday at midnight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we really appreciate your time and contribution, and we look forward to seeing you in the next sessions of our webinar series. Thank you very much for joining today's webinar. Stay inspired, stay connected, and see you soon. And for Bapak Ibu who have any issues or any difficulties in accessing the MOOC, maybe for the registrations or how to enroll the class or the course, you can stay in this Zoom, and you can ask directly to us so we can answer and inform you how to do it. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum.